Shalom, shalom, family. My name is Uzziah Lewi. I'm one of the teachers of Congregation Beit Da'akak Mabina, and I'm sitting here with my brother, Moreh Ithamar, ben Moreh Eleazar Yehudah, and we just gonna go through a little history with him and ask him some questions in
Okay.
terms of his experience in Israel, being born in this way of life, growing up, just go through his life and where he's at today. These interviews, I usually do interviews with elders, but I'm going to concentrate on doing some interviews with some younger people that might not be youth, but they're young enough to be able to guide some of the younger generation coming up and showing them how they got through maybe some rough patches in life and how they got to be at the point that they're at in their lives at this moment. So welcome, my brother. How are you doing?
Shalom, shalom. All is well, brother. I appreciate this opportunity. All glory to the Most High.
Hallelujah.
Just coming in. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
That's good. So Itamar, right? What is the meaning of that name?
Well, it's, of course you hear Tamar in there, so that's palm tree.
Right.
And when you put the E before that, that's like Isle of Palm Trees. So
Isle of Palm
like
Tree.
Island of Palm Trees. So
Okay.
that's why I guess I like Florida a lot because, I see a lot of palm trees and,
It relates to your
but
name.
my Abba named me that because that was one of his best friends when he came in, a
Okay.
brother named Itamar ben Yehudah.
Okay.
And that's where that came from.
Who are your parents, man? I mean, I already introduced you and kind of gave your father's name, but just formally, just if you could let everybody know who your parents are.
Absolutely. My father is Moreh Eleazar ben Yehudah, um, brought in Hashabi Israel, now deceased. We lost him in 2011.
Okay.
But my mother, my mothers, because my father had two wives.
Okay.
So Imana Koak, who's now deceased, we lost her a few years ago.
Right.
And then Imana,
Right.
these were my mothers that I grew up in the house with.
Okay. Great. So, being an Israelite growing up, right, and having your parents, how was it for you growing up as an Israelite in this world, in the United States of America? But you guys, I assume that you were born in the 70s or something like that. So how
Right.
was it for you growing up, and how was it like as your family and your siblings? How was it growing up for y'all?
Well, I was born in 1976, so I'm the middle child.
Okay.
But it's a big family. It's
Right.
10 of us.
So you
So,
lost in the sauce. You in the
right, I'm
middle.
right in the middle. But,
Right.
it's a strange dynamic because I'm the youngest son,
Okay.
but I have all younger sisters.
Oh
So,
wow.
all everybody younger than me is a female.
So you
So,
really in the middle.
yeah. Even like fighting, my amateur record is messed up. Like all of that, it just was like a weird dynamic. But, growing up as a big family and because how dedicated my Abba was to it,
Right.
wherever we went, this is what we did.
Right.
Now, when we left New York, we went to Connecticut.
Right.
We lived in a little town called New London, Connecticut.
New London. All right. I know of
New
New London.
London, right? New
Right.
London, Connecticut, right by the ocean. Matter of
Right.
fact, you can take a ferry to Long Island. So
Right.
that's how. But we were the only ones that were walking in this way.
Okay.
Initially.
Right.
Now after we were there about 7 to 8 years, we had Adon Sar Shimon and Gaver Kakma. They both deceased, but they were friends of my family, and they come from the old Hashaba way. So
Right.
they moved there towards the end of when we were there.
Right.
But for the most part, we were there by ourselves.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? But my Abba was dedicated. If we didn't come to New York to go somewhere, we did it in our house. I mean, and when I say did it, I mean full blown did it.
Service.
Read the Torah,
prayers.
iron your clothes, like your clothes got to be done by Thursday, all of that. So,
Okay. So, do you remember anything of old Hashaba Yisrael? Like, I know you were young, but do you remember like anything of, I'm talking about Belmont Avenue and Shaba. I'm sure you will remember Linden Boulevard.
Right. Well, Belmont Avenue, the thing I remember about it, I always thought we was like home. I always thought that was like Jerusalem. Like they was like, we going home. And I always felt like, well, this is home, ain't this? Like, look at all these beautiful,
right, this is Israel.
Yeah, the pageantry was like amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I feel like during that time, we put so much effort into, when we had holy days and things like that,
right.
that you felt like you was at home. I didn't realize we was in Brooklyn. I didn't, right. I was a youngster. Like I said, I was born in 76. And we moved to Connecticut by 80. We was in Connecticut, 79, actually.
Right. Okay.
So I never experienced like the Israelite Institute, but my siblings went.
Okay.
But what our parents did during that time, they were so big into education. Like I started kindergarten at 3 years old. Usually it's 5 years old.
5, right.
I started at 3 years old. And they was like, oh, he's one of the smartest kids, and because that's how much they were into education.
Okay. What does being an Israelite mean to you at this point? Maybe if you could look at it from where you came from, maybe like when you were younger, because being young, sometimes you might feel like, oh, I gotta go, I gotta do this, my parents want me to do this.
Right.
From this point,
Right. Well, I think that nowadays it's more about responsibility. Because when you say you represent this, I'm not talking about just saying you are Israelite and taking an Israelite name. I'm talking about actually walking according to how the Most High wants us to walk.
Right.
That's a huge responsibility. And I think sometimes we take it lightly because we know that we're Israelites and we got an Israelite name, and I know some other Israelites, but we have a responsibility to walk a certain way. And one thing I always say is when you say that, people are watching. People are always watching. When you claim that you're an Israelite and you're a child of the Most High, people are watching what you're doing.
Right.
So I can't always say I even lived up to that. But at this point in my life, I know that, it's a responsibility on me to be that light. Right. So when somebody looks at me, I'm not talking about what, you can hear me all day. Right. We got good at talking. Right. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at me, you say, hey, this brother is, trying to do right. I'm not even saying in perfection, but I'm saying he's pushing towards trying to do something that's right.
Okay.
So
absolutely. How was it growing up under a man like your Abba, Moreh Eleazar? Do you feel that people's expectations of children of men of your father's stature are too high? Like you guys are put like on a certain, like when you are the child of a person who's in leadership position or who holds a title or who holds some type of position, people always look at you like he or she's supposed to be this way. Do you think it was like a lot of pressure?
When I was young, I did. As I get older, I feel like, I understand the dynamics. My father was a very strict man especially when we were younger. Right. About this way of life, he didn't play at all. Right. What I'm saying? No way. As he got older, he was more trying to explain it to us what this way of life was.
Right.
I feel like, for me to walk in this way now, I understand that everybody doesn't have it, but I know that the expectation is there from our parents, from those that came before us. They gave their lives, they sweat, they tears, they blood. Right. Some of them, this is all they knew. My father came into this way in his 20s, and never strayed from this way. So the greatest thing I could give my father is to walk in the way that the Most High God
that's right.
laid out.
That's
so
right.
Yes, is it an expectation? Yes, but the pressure shouldn't be too great. Just like the Most High God said, it's not too hard for you.
Right.
It's just really whether you're gonna do it.
Right.
Now I'm not saying that walking in this way is easy because they make evil fun in the society that we live in.
Right.
But it's what we have to do.
That's right. So, what type of person was your father?
He was very good friends with Moreh Mishael.
Okay.
And they knew each other from when they were teenagers. Okay. But as he got into his 20s, he was like, Moreh was like already come in law. He was already moving. He was like, he invited him. He said when he went there, he heard Cohen Levy speak. He was like, I never leave again. And he, but this is how things happen. And I'm gonna tell you a short story. A few months after that, about 6 months, you know, he's not really in the way like we're in the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we're entrenched. So he went Friday night drinking and hanging out, and the police broke his jaw.
Ooh.
Had to get his jaw wired.
Right.
And he said from that moment on, he knew, he said when he was leaving the house, he knew the Most High was telling him, you don't need to leave the house. It's the Shabbat.
Right.
He went out on the Shabbat. They broke his jaw. And he said, when he spoke to Cohen again, he said, come on in, sit down, my son. Right. And he went back, and he never left since that. You know, anywhere we went, we were flying the Israelite banners.
Okay. So your father knew Moreh Mishael from, what's Virginia? What's that, West Virginia?
No. He just knew him from his time in New York, from when he was, you know, my father was younger than he was.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
You know, he was like the old, not
right,
old
right,
head,
right.
but,
like,
you know,
like the older dude on the block.
Right, that I look up to.
Right, that I look up to.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, he was with the fly clothes, and, you know, my father liked a little bit of that too.
Right, right.
So, you know, that's who we looked up to. And he was like, yo, come to this place. And when he came here, you say he heard Cohen speak. And he never left. He said the one time he strayed away, the Most High broke his jaw.
Wow. I guess that's a true calling right there. That's the Most High God tapping you and telling you.
So that's when you know, when you go everywhere and represent. But he was, you know, like I said, my father was a man of the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, all the stuff like camping trips, all like when we were young, we did all of that. You know what I'm saying? And as I get into, you know, we'll talk about Georgia and how we came to Georgia.
Right.
You know, I could tell you, you know, like my Abba was on it, you know, because then we came around other Israelites. Mm. You know, everybody didn't agree with what we did, but my Abba was dealing with everybody. House of Israel.
Right.
The KOY.
Right.
The, you know, anybody. We had a spot, a place, a congregation called KHY. Right. And all the, I mean, we would go camping for Pesach, for, you know, that type of stuff every year. Mm. You know, he was big on family, so we would do like the family days, like at least once a month. We'd do a family day. Everybody came out, all the kids came out. So it was like a big family. Mm. You know, when we moved to Georgia.
That's a beautiful thing, because we need more of that during these times, because we don't have enough of that stuff. Like, right. You know, my children never had a camping experience. Wow. You know, so like, you know, those are things that the children need to be out in the outdoors, and to experience the wild, and to experience how to survive and how to do certain things. I know we're going to get into it later. I know that your father also bought some land out in Georgia, and right. And you guys are trying to do something with it at this moment, but I'll get to that. How many of y'all are there? Many children?
It's 10 of us. Now it's actually 9 that are his children, and then we have a niece, but she was raised with us as our sister. Okay. So you know, it's 10 of us. 6 girls, 4 boys.
Okay. When was it that your family migrated to Georgia? Because I know that's also part of your history.
Right, 1989. We came to Georgia, and it was kind of like a surprise to us. You know, like we knew we were moving, but, you know, we didn't know we was like on an accelerated pace. Okay. So when we, you know, they was just like one day, you know, we packing up, we going to Georgia, we bought a house. Right. You know, and it was kind of bittersweet, because I loved Connecticut. I was in Connecticut for a while, right. You know, but when I got here, we had a huge house. You know, to me, you know, in the South, you get a lot of bang for your buck. So, like, I was like, you know, we got a mansion. You know, they bought us a mansion. Right. But the dynamic of it was, it was none of our type of people, no people of color in the area. So when I initially started school in the South, my 9th grade year, we literally had 30 of our people in the school, of a school about 2,500 kids. Wow. You know, now as I stayed, well, it was interesting, you know, but you had to, you know, I mean, you know, when certain people get courage when they're in groups. Right. You know, so certain people got, you know, and we had to just stand tall. You know, my Abba was one like, you know, don't nobody run. You know, if something happened to one of y'all, it better happen to all of y'all. So, you know, it just was a little, you know, a little wrestling up, and, you know, over time they kind of knew
flags and
oh yeah, you call you, you know, the name with the ER and all of that stuff. They, you know, we had to deal with that, and we knew what it taught you was every situation is not one for you to just go ballistic. Right. You know, sometimes you run into situations and people say things and you feel like you want to do something to them, but you know, we didn't want to compromise what we already had. Like, I felt like we was living in a mansion already. Right. You know, it was a lot of us, but we still had a big house. I didn't want, you know, in my mind, them pulling up, burning the cross or anything like, because that's where my mind was for us moving here. Right. But it changed though, you know, within the first 5-6 years, the dynamic changed, the social dynamic changed. So you start seeing more of us. Right. And you know, I started making more friends and moving around a little bit more in the city outside of where we moved to. Right. But it was an excellent move for our family because, you know, when we were in Connecticut, you know, my brother had started to get into some stuff. We had started to get in. So my Abba was thinking much, you know, he was thinking further ahead than we could even see. Right. You know, and you know, he moved us somewhere where you couldn't get into nothing. If you want to wrestle something, you got to go wrestle a tree or something. So that's where he moved us to.
Yeah. So, but that experience of Georgia, that, like you said, like it taught you how to deal with situations, and maybe not to get too emotional with certain things. So it's a little different dynamic than someone that's like, you already been down there. Like if I go down there, it's something that somebody might say, might be like, what you say? What you say? Right. So you had to learn how to kind of.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, I don't tap dance. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't tap dance for nobody. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day,
exactly what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? You gonna fly banners and all that stuff is not gonna upset me. Like, you know, fine, you know, be a knucklehead. I'm not gonna knock you out for being a knucklehead, but I'm not gonna also put myself in a situation where I may jeopardize my freedom. You know, one thing about Georgia is they lock us up. You know, a lot of stuff you might get away with up north. Right. They got a prison for you. You know what I'm saying? Not a jail, a prison where they give brothers 20, 30 years like they handing out socks. Wow. You know,
so you have to think twice before you take that.
Absolutely.
Because an assault could get you 20 years. Where in New York is a new misdemeanor, you might have to, you know, be on probation for a couple of years and walk away.
Yeah, they don't really play that. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still like the Wild Wild West out here, and there's another element out here. We'll talk about that a little later, you know, as we get into, you know, why my Abba bought land and stuff. But, you know, it's just not, it can be a dangerous place, but it can be a peaceful place too. Right.
You just got to know how to move and use wisdom, I guess.
Absolutely.
You know, what did you think of the city of Atlanta when you first got there?
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta was Atlanta. It was very, you know, the city itself, you know, because we were by the west side. So we were actually 7 miles from the hood. Like the hood, you know, all that stuff that they rap about and Bankhead Courts. And we were like 7 miles from that.
All that.
Yeah, all of that. We used to have services in Mechanicsville. That's how, you know, crazy it was back then. So our people were still there, but we were just centralized. Okay. You know, since then, our people have spread out, and there's pretty much no part of the metro area that you don't see our people in. But when we came here, you know, all of our people were in the city, and if you lived in the, you know, Austels and Powder Springs and Mabletons, you was there with the good old boys.
Mm. How was that? It's interesting to me because I haven't lived around a lot of Caucasian people, but how was that? Like, did you make like good friends like that?
Well, no, I mean, you know, it did
like did they come to you like after a while and was like, you know what my parents taught me about you? Like, you know how the Tanakh said, our parents taught us naught but lies and things that
right.
Like, did that happen like after they got to know y'all, or like how
well,
did that
it did
work
with
out?
some people. With
Right.
some people, it happened. You know what I'm saying? I lost Matt Doherty, one of my good friends. He died in a
Right.
car accident. But he
Right.
was he was a white boy, and he was just not really with that type of time. But we had to come in there swinging. And I'll give you a story. My brother Mazatiel,
Right.
one time he had wore my Abba's leather jacket to school without asking, but he wore it to school. And the white boy came and grabbed his jacket and broke the zipper on the jacket. So now he like, I got to take this home to Abba with a broken zipper. And he rocked the guy and gave him stitches in his face and all that. And they were trying to take him to jail for that. You know what I'm saying? And my Abba had a good way with talking to people,
Right.
and he got him out of that situation.
Right.
But that was like a constant thing with us. Like you just had to fight. But after they know you'll fight,
Right.
after they know you at least stand up for yourself, they pick on the people that don't stand up for themselves.
Okay.
And that's just how, even to this day, what I'm saying, most of the quote unquote good old boys, or those that are, still caught on the racist aspect, they don't really like to encounter people that stand up for themselves.
Right.
Their whole dynamic and the element changes when you stand up for yourself.
Right.
So that was my album. We came from that.
So,
And like I said, I was the youngest of 4 boys, so my amateur record was already messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so
what I'm saying?
you got to get it up when you got to school.
Listen, I just know I didn't want to come home and see Abba and be like, well, what did you do?
What did you
You
do?
know what I'm saying? So, you did something with my brother or my
Right.
sister, you had to do something with me.
Right.
But, it was tough at first.
Right.
But, I think over time, because of the dynamics changing, and every year we got more people that look like me and look like us.
So you got
they
stronger.
start seeing that people start seeing, okay, they not that bad. You know what I'm saying? And, it was rough for us, but I think it taught us a lot of lessons, even in business and, things that we'll talk about later. In business, it taught me, how to even deal with somebody that doesn't look like you, but that you could present a product
right.
that they need.
Very
there's
important.
a need for that product.
Very important. So now that all right, I know when you were younger, how you looked at this way of life, but now you're a teenager. You're going through those years where it's probably the toughest for our children, especially
Right.
when you're living in a society that is not centered on our way of life, on our lifestyle. Right? So mentally, how did you feel during this time as far as the way of life, how we were living? Where was your mindset during that time?
Well, I went through an age where I never gave up. I never felt bad about being an Israelite.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I always felt like, honestly, that gave me an edge because we always knew something that people didn't know.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I met somebody, I'd be like, hey, you read scriptures? Hey, let me show you this scripture.
Right.
But what I ran into is I tried to merge this way with the streets.
Okay.
I used to like the club. Like anybody that know me knows, like nightclubs was my thing. I like to party, and you know what I'm saying, and I know, after a while, after losing a few years partying and not doing nothing with myself, because it wasn't nothing that an Israelite really should be pursuing.
Right.
I realized that only thing I lost was years.
Okay.
And like people know me for getting in the club, but like really, what type of worth is that to the world? Like you can't put that on a resume. Like I could get you in any club in Atlanta. So I chased the streets a little while, but
right.
The Most High made it come to a screeching halt.
Okay.
He made it come to a screeching halt, and I got in a little trouble, and not even a little trouble, some trouble. You know what I'm saying? And I'm open with it, not to say, to be braggadocious about it, to say that I failed. You know what I'm saying? In life and in that situation, I failed because I wasn't raised like that. My father never showed us anything from the streets.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I chose to pursue something like that.
Right.
And that was, by me failing though, that was one of the greatest wake-up calls I ever had in my life. That was one of the.
So was it more with your father? Was it disappointment, anger? How did he feel when you got into your situation?
Oh, he was like, I ain't coming to no court.
Right.
But he came to court. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the love that a father had for his son. He's like, now, one thing he say, that he was real about, he ain't coming to get you out of jail. So you got there, you need to call somebody and figure out how you going to get out. Right. But he came to court, and, what I'm saying, when I had to sit down, he came and saw me, what I'm saying? And they let me have a little job where I could flip burgers and stuff while I was there. So, I got blessed to be in a situation better than a lot of brothers. But, in that situation, my father would come and sit with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he come to the job and sit with me, like, for hours, bro. And I be flipping burgers. Every time I get a break, I come and sit out there and read scriptures. And not even just read scriptures, but talk about life as men. Because then I was a man. It wasn't just like I'm telling you what to do as a son. It's like I'm seeing where your life is going as a man. And that changed our relationship, But it also caused me to see that what my father was telling me the whole time was correct. Right. What he was saying the whole time was correct. I just put myself through some unnecessary burdens, put my family through unnecessary burdens, because I thought that I'm going to show him something different. Right. And I know better. I know these streets, but you old, you ain't in these streets no more. Right. This is what I would say that to him, but this is what is in your mind going through my head. Right. So like, you don't know these, and guess what? Everything he said would happen. It did happen.
Right. Do you feel somehow like because sometimes we feel like resentment for our parents, not knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes we just have like this resentment. Maybe it's so many of us, I don't even have my way. I can't get what I want. You know what I'm saying? I just, like that desperate feeling, or that restlessness that sometimes we get. And especially we got like a little bit of like that little street mentality or whatever. Do you feel like some of it was resentment on your part, or do you think it was just your own?
To me, it wasn't gratitude for what they gave, for what they showed me, because we grew up in a house. Yeah, it was a lot of us. Right. So you didn't get the brand new Pumas or, what I'm saying, the joints that whatever they was, you didn't get those. Right. But what my parents did, they always was about us working. Right. I worked from the time I was 12 years old. I had a paper route when I was 12 years old. We moved to Georgia. I worked at Whitewaters. That's the amusement park. I worked there a few years. I worked at Crystals, the restaurant. Right. I worked at Shoney's. They always put us in a position that, okay, if we don't have it for you, you can work to get it.
You can work to get it, right.
What it was, I saw friends of mine starting to dabble and do different things in the streets, and like, oh, well, look at his car. He got rims in the system in his car, and, I'm complaining about my car, but I realize most cats my age didn't even have a car. You know what I'm saying? But that was, to me, I would just say it was a lack of gratitude. It was me not understanding the lessons that they were putting out there. And, to me, I had to learn some lessons. I had to humble myself.
Life lessons, right.
You know what I'm saying? Because, the streets never gave me nothing good. Never, ever. You know what I'm saying? If I could tell you, I don't even want to tell you the horror stories. I just want to say it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't mix God in the streets. You can't mix the Most High in the streets. And that's what I'm trying to do. I ain't going to do nothing on Friday night. But I'm doing, 6 other days, I'm, all the way live with it. Right. So the Most High say, I'm going to slow you down. You know what I'm saying? And when it came down to it, I had to just go back to the lessons I learned as a young man from my father.
Who were the biggest influences in your life? I mean, I know your parents, but is there like anybody else that you look to, admire, that, that gave you that mind?
Well, I mean, the good thing about, growing up in this way, you had a lot of people to look to. You know what I'm saying? Cohen Levy, Cohen Mikael, Moreh Mishael. To see these men, as I got older and see how a man should move, I started listening. I mean, when I was younger, I used to have all the tapes. My brother, Cohen Zadok, was married to my sister, so he used to have all the tapes, and I used to double all his tapes. You know what I'm saying? And, right. I had all the lessons, you know what I'm saying? Over the years, I lost them, but it was just amazing to hear these men speak. And I feel like that's what honestly kept me up. I mean, I felt like we had a culture. I didn't feel like it was just me. You know what I'm saying? Then we were always tied to New York. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know, we always took trips to New York. We always had people that we loved and cared about in New York. So, you know, those type of men were, but it was a lot of other men, you know what I'm saying, that my Abba put me around. Moreh Elisha, and, you know, just a lot of men. Moreh Uriah, Moreh Elkanah, and, you know, just a lot of men that my Abba will always go around, men that, you know, even if he didn't agree with them totally as far as scriptures, they were solid men. Right. You know, and that's what, you know, these are some of the men that the Most High God blessed me to be around, you know, and have some powerful conversations with over time. Anybody knows about 588 Ayers Road, everybody stayed there. You know, I got pictures of, you know, Cohen Pincus, and my sister just posted a picture of Zarkar. I don't even remember the day night coming out to Georgia, but you know what I'm saying? Just right. Pictures upon pictures of people that have sat in that house, you know, with my Abba, spent nights, and right. It was a blessing to be around those type of people. So I wouldn't say it was just one person outside of my father, of course. Right. But it was just a conglomerate of people, you know. Saw Aaron, that's one of my mentors to this day. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're just men that, you know, are solid men.
Absolutely. So going through whatever you went through, you know, your rough patches, and I think that's important for our youth to hear sometimes, because sometimes people shy away from that. They don't want to talk about their rough past, but what I find is the people who are the most honest and give their life as a whole, like how Chief of Chiefs did in his interview, and everybody else did, like it really helps somebody else out. You don't even know that you're helping someone else out, you know. Right. So from that, how was it like your redemption? Because you're a successful businessman now, right? You're successful in your own way. You take care of your family or whatever. What was it that motivated you to say, man, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to move forward? How did you even get started with that? How did that even come across your mind? How did you even get like moving, the wheels moving into something like that? Like, because most people don't know how to start a business. You know, some people do odd jobs here and there. They know how to do, they know how to fix, they know how to put up sheetrock, they know how to paint, they know how to, you took all that, you put it together, and you build houses, and you remodel houses, and you flip houses, you do all that type of stuff. How did that come about, and what was like the seed that was planted to start all of that?
Okay, so 2008, you know, that's when I ran into my issues, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like I said, I'm forward with it, because I say it to say it, like, you know, and I say it time and time again to let you know that was a failure. That wasn't a win. You know what I'm saying? When you go and you sit in this man's prisons and his boxes, you know what I'm saying? And they told me, you know, 5 years. I cried like a baby. Right. You know what I'm saying? I told her, yeah, I gotta, this is how everything became into motion. And this is how I knew I had to change. I gotta hire a lawyer. I didn't know where he was from. They just say he was good at my type of cases. Right. And, you know, I paid him an exuberant amount of money, you know, and, you know, and he was just like going through the motions, you know what I'm saying? And then I came to the court one day, and I was reading the scriptures, and I had, it was the Hebrew English. He said, you know how to read that? And I said, yeah, I know how to read it. He didn't even ask me to read it or anything. He just asked me, did I know how to read it? Right. And he went and spoke to the people, and they were like, we're going to only, you know, do 1 year, and then you'll be able to come and go to a regular job. And my hardiness, because I'm still thinking this street, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get me a good job, and, you know what I'm saying, I'm about to do some customer service and make a bunch of money. Would nobody hire me? Right. The only people that would hire me was a place that would flip burgers. So I had to humble myself. Right. You know what I'm saying? That was the beginning of humility. But I took that time. I went to school, worked on my degree. You know what I'm saying? What they let me do both of those at the same time. And you know, I was able to purchase a car while I was working. You know, it's a whole year.
Right.
I have to deal with this. And you know, I came home. I thought I was going, when I came home, I was set up to go and get that big job I was talking about.
Right.
But the Most High made it where nobody was still hiring me. So I had to spend another 2 years just flipping burgers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So from 2008 to 2010, I flipped burgers.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I was good at it too, you know, ambidextrous, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta get
you know, but
gotta get the burgers out.
Because, but you know, this is how the Most High give you the lesson that you're supposed to have, because I was one of those that just thought easy money, quick money, how,
right.
You know, and then when you see your check and FICA done hit and, you know, and all these people done hit, you like, man,
Georgia.
yeah, you going crazy. But I stayed with it. You know, I knew my family needed me. You know, I didn't have no children at the time. So,
right.
You know, I knew my wife needed me and I needed to make things happen. And there was a man that used to come into my job every day. And he was like, man, I noticed how you run that kitchen. I want you to run my restaurant. He franchised the Taco Bell.
Right.
He was like, I don't care about your background, none of that. I'm going to give you this job. Wow. And that was part of the progression in me doing my own thing, because now I was like the boss of boss. They want to know about inventory. They want to know about food costs, you know, shortages, everything. You know, this is where I learned it was like a training ground, but it was a miserable job. I was working 55 hours a week. I used to, after the Shabbat, the camp was right across the street from the job.
Miserable.
So, I mean, like, as soon as we said hallelujah, I had to be in my manager's outfit and be at the job till 3 in the morning.
Wow. You
know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's what you pray for. I feel like you got to be specific, but I wasn't specific. I asked the Most High, man, please just get me out of this job.
Right.
You know, my Abba was sick then and all of this. He's like, please get me out of this job. Well, they fired me. They fired me, brother. Like,
you asked for it.
I asked for it. He got me out of the job. And, you know, but they didn't do it on the right terms. So I'm getting unemployment and all this stuff that, you know, and I'm sitting at home and my brother called me and said, you know, I know you good with your hands and you good at organizing. I know a guy, he got a bunch of houses he need fixed up. And, you know, I'm walking around the house in my robe, just moping, don't know what I'm going to do. And my wife is like, just do it. What are you doing? You ain't doing nothing right now. And I had to respect her perspective because I wasn't doing nothing.
Right.
And I started. I got August 17th, 2011 was our first project. Now, I didn't know anything about the business of building. I knew a few things, but even about building itself, I learned a lot on the fly.
Right.
But I got with me, my brother. It was me, my brother Yehoshua, my brother Mazatiel, one of our good friends, AJ. AJ ended up working for me for about 7 years. Right. And Ramael. Right. And it wasn't even no money. It was like $2,400 in this house. So it wasn't even no real money for us to fix it up. And then half of us, you know, Mazatiel, who's an excellent builder. Right. You know, he's like the real, you know, I'm in the business of building. He's the builder of the family. Right. And
he's the one that has the skills.
Yeah. Like, you know, if I'm lost, I'm gonna call him. Unless it's AC, and then I'm gonna call Hosh. But you know, we all get our hands dirty, but I just was like, okay, how am I gonna do this? But this guy's telling me I'm gonna give you as many houses as you can handle. So I'm like, I gotta make this happen. Right. You know, and for the first almost year, no money was coming in. Not on my end, but I was getting unemployed. You know, I'm doing my whole thing. So I'm trying to figure out things, you know, juggling things. And what I did is I started building my team up. I started getting people that were specialists or knew how to do certain things. If a wall needed to be painted, I needed a painter. You know, if we need plumbers, I don't need my homeboy changing. I need somebody that's on call.
It was your training ground. This was like your training ground. So
absolutely, but it's already like it's no room for error either, because I have house. Like we finished the first house, he gave us 2 houses. We finished those 2 houses, he gave us 3 houses. Like it was growing faster than I knew what to do. So what I did is I just started specializing, you know, and I got a plumber, you know, and it, you know, had him, you know, as he's doing this, he's showing my guys how to do it.
Right.
But I need people in place that's going to give out quality work. You know, I didn't really make money the first year, but the second year we took off.
Right.
The second year we took off like amazing. By the third year, you know, I wasn't ready for it. You know, I'm still kind of handing people money in envelopes, and
Right.
you know, I didn't do my homework before I jumped into the business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So but in the third year, I ran into it with the IRS.
The tax man
And
came knocking.
they're like, you know, 17,000. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mr.
a crazy
Yehudah,
number.
Mr.
Like,
Yehudah, we see that.
Listen, they was talking about locking up my bank accounts and everything. So I'm like, you know what? I paid it. You know, I got me an accountant.
Right.
You know, and my account was like, you know, no more of that. You got to give out checks, and you got to, you know. So it was a progression of actually putting the right people in the right place.
Okay.
You know, and that is to me the biggest part of my success, is having the right people in the right place. The vision was already mine. I'm like, if these people are buying 100 houses, and we can do 10 of them in a month, you know, everybody should be good. So you know, I didn't really have, everybody understood the numbers,
right? But it was
like, how are we going to get this done? So my plumber, he's been with me 9 years, Mr. Earl. You know, and my electrician, Chuck, been with me probably as long, maybe a few months shorter. You know, and I have a bunch of people, Dawood, you know, agent, like, that's been around for years.
Right.
You know, and this is how they feed their family off of what we do. But the idea is now it's more balanced because, you know, I require quality work. Anybody that has ever had work done for me knows that, you know, I will listen. I lose money before I leave you in a bad situation.
Right. Right.
You know, and you know, that's one of the lessons in business I had to learn. And I lost money. I made money, you know, but I think if you ever do it just for the money, it's not going to be successful. Okay. It has to be like you have some type of passion or desire to do whatever you're doing.
Right.
So, you know, I did it, you know, initially I got a little big-headed. You know how we get. You know what I'm saying? And I bought too much, and you know, and I had to lose some, but you know, and me losing some, like now it's like almost effortless. So now I can actually, you know, that's what I'm working on now is, you know, other businesses that you know, I want to put my effort into, and I'm gonna bring those out, you know, over time. But you know, now I'm set up to do that. But it took a lot of trial and errors, bro. It took a lot of trial and error. And one of the biggest things I could always say is two things is prepare yourself and research your team, whoever you're going to put around you. Have the right people around you, because if you don't, you're just going to be twirling your thumb. You can't even do work. You wouldn't even last as long if people be like, oh, he do garbage work.
Right.
You know, I've been blessed. You know, one of the biggest blessings in doing all of this is I don't call nobody. I don't have no flyers out. I don't have, you know, my Facebook page barely, you know, only has a few pictures. And the Most High has my name where it's good, where people will call me, be like, we need this.
Right.
And that's the blessing in it.
No websites, no nothing.
No, I did a website, but I didn't get no, you know, nobody gave no work came from it. So, you know, I designed it. I paid somebody to design it, and
and nobody went to it.
Nobody hit, you know, it was just like people visited, and you know, but no work came from it. So,
right. So your biggest advice to a child that wants to, or someone that's younger, maybe not a child, but someone that's younger that has ambitions to be a self-employed business person, what would be your biggest advice to them?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what I said, but earlier, as far as researching what you want to do, make sure you have a passion for what you want to do. You know, some people think that just working or having your own business is going to just be like, I don't have to work. I just work 20 hours a week, and, you know, I just chill the rest of the time. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. You put more energy and effort into your business than you will ever put into a job. if you want to have a successful business.
Right.
So, research your business and make sure that you're willing to put the time and effort into it. Now, along the way, some of these houses, I spent nights in these houses. I used to ride with my air mattress.
Wow.
Some of them had the rats and the roaches, and but we had deadlines to meet, and we spent nights in these houses. So it wasn't all just fun and games and collecting checks.
Right.
Now, if I could say anything to anybody that would want to get into the construction field, find you a niche. Find something that you like doing. Don't try to do everything. Right. It doesn't, to me, I feel like, ours was lightning in a bottle. We was just blessed to have that good run, and now I was able to learn along the way.
Right.
But it really happens like that. Mm-hmm. So get you a specialty of what you can do. You can build yourself much greater than where I've been. There's people that's working with their hands that are retiring at 50 years old because they're starting young. Right. Don't wait 20 years to be like, I'm gonna go to trade school. Go to trade school now. Right. You work on cars, go to trade. Listen, work on cars. Get you your dealer's license. Right. Now you'll be able to sell a few cars. And, all of that is what we need to be teaching our children. Not that college is a bad thing, but if you don't want, if that's not your direction and you want to get into a trade, well, we got to be pumping it the right way.
Right. Absolutely. So, how much of an influence were your parents to you as a business as a business person? Were they like a great influence to you?
My father believed in me before I even knew I had it. I wasn't doing that. I think it was like the 10th grade. I wasn't really doing much in school. I wasn't, right. I wasn't being what I was supposed to be. Right. And there was an entrepreneurship program. And you're supposed to have A's and B's to get in this program, but I don't know who he talked to. Right. He got me in this program, and it really taught me, like, that was probably the most influential school setting that I had as far as me being a businessman, because they taught you everything. How to, do your LLC. This is what they taught you, and I spent the whole summer there, at Kennesaw College, and, he believed in me, what I'm saying? And whatever, I had some ventures that, me and myself and Bear Connie, we used to do some parties back in the days, and, what I'm saying? We ain't really make no bunch of money, but my album still was like, I support you, what I'm saying? But do it as a business. Now, at 20 years old, 21 years old, I couldn't really understand doing it as a business because it's a club and it's drinks and it's women, but he always encouraged me to push myself to be a businessman. I just, honestly, it took me growing up to really do it. So, like I said, if I could give any message to the youth that are listening, don't waste years doing something that you can do right now.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that I felt like I did, is I wasted years doing, what I did now. Of course, it came in the time the Most High made it coming, but there was things I could have been doing to strengthen my situation when I was young. But I was like, I'm young, I don't want to, I'm going to do that later. I got time, and you look up and you be like, dang, I was in my 20s and now I'm in my 30s, now I'm in my 40s.
Right.
At 50, you trying to pump the brakes. You're like, I'm trying to slow it down until I reach 50. So, don't look at it like you have forever, because I would say I lost a good 10 years just, flailing. Swinging at nothing.
Right. So I know that you said your Abba passed away in 2010, right?
2011.
2011.
Yeah, May 29th, 2011. So you
didn't really get to see your success as a business person, right?
No, he didn't. And the craziest.
So how do you live with that regret, or do you sometimes think about that?
My Abba, because he lived a few years, after I turned my life around. Okay. He was able to tell me that. He was like, he was just proud that, I wasn't running them streets and
Right.
trying to chase after things that he knew would just make me end up with nothing.
Right.
Make me end up losing, maybe end up losing my life. You know,
Right.
we lost soldiers out here. We lost
Right.
brothers that, you know, were murdered out here. So my Abba didn't want that. So he was happy, you know, when I moved up. He saw when I moved up to being a manager of a store. He was happy about that.
Right.
You know, he just never got to see the success of, you know, the level that I was able to take it to, and my brothers was able to take it to in their businesses.
Right.
And I don't live with regret behind that. But of course, you're gonna always be like, I wish Abba could have saw this. You know, that's just a natural reaction. You're gonna be like, I wish Abba could have saw me do this. And then, you know, my Abba loved to play pool. You know what I'm saying? Love to play pool. You know, the last camp we had the pool table in behind the camp, and
right.
you know what I'm saying. And my Abba, because I used to say to them all the time, Abba be living back here. We have to come and get them and drag them home back here. You know, so you know, it is bittersweet, but I know that, you know, he raised us and took us to a certain point. And this is all you can do as a parent, because we don't know how long we're gonna be here. And you just progress as far as you can progress in the time that you have. Okay. And then, you know, I pray my children will carry it on from what we did.
Right. Take it further.
Right.
Right. So I know. Just going back to your Abba, because I know I've heard of this a long time ago, but I know he had bought some land out there, and I remember that, like, you guys were like the first people that are like Israelites that I heard of, that I knew, right? I'm sure probably there were other Israelites, but I didn't really know. You know, we always had kind of like a close circle of people that we knew. So it was like, oh, they bought a lot of land. Like, your father bought all this land.
Yeah.
How
was
that land, you know, and how were things going on with that? Are you guys developing it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's in the works. You know, my father, 20 years ago, about, you know, and it wasn't a lot of land. It was 6 acres of land. You know, about 6 football fields. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a huge amount of land, but you know, his vision was Israelites would not necessarily move on that land, but would move to that city, because the city's a black city. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's a poor city, but, you know, we can bring commerce, you know, spend money amongst ourselves. So he was already thinking ahead of the game, you know, and he bought it. And matter of fact, he took his 401k when he retired and spent his last money to pay that land off. You know, my father wasn't a rich man, but that was his vision. So he took it and paid it off, and for a few years it sat dormant. You know, I didn't do anything. You know, and you know, when we was years ago, we used to go out there camping and all the type. We did Shavuot. We built a big old pavilion out there. You know, we did that years ago, but for years it went dormant because my Abba was sick. You know, nobody was tied to the land like that, and you know, when I started my business, that was one thing I said I would do. I would make sure that things start to get to rolling, you know, and that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? Me, my brothers, my sisters, we got together, you know, we got the water. That was one of the biggest things. We had a well out there that had concrete stuff there, and we used to play like, see who was strong enough to pull it out of there. Nobody could do it. So we had to hire somebody to do it, and we got water. Anyway, we got water on the land, and you know, it was able to go forward from there. My sister is out there full-time, Tahora. You know, I'm not out there yet because I still operate a business in Atlanta, but that's in the works. You know, we just cleared quite a few acreage right now. And, you know, like I said, with my father's vision, I don't just put everything out there like for social media and things like that, because it's a lot more spiritual for me. It's a lot more connecting with my Abba and my Ima and what they, you know, my Ima is buried there. You know what I'm saying? On the property.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how
you could bury people in your property, like,
absolutely,
without it being a cemetery.
Yeah, I mean, we have an area that's marked off as a cemetery.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Okay. But you know, we buried up with our own hands.
Your Abba brought his plot of land for his family and for everybody to go there.
To be an example. Now, what we've done since then, we bought the 2 plots next to it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we got about 21 acres, you know, not a huge bunch acreage, but it's 21 acreage, and we just, you know, slowly doing our thing. That, you know, I look to build it in a way that, you know, my Abba would, you know, he definitely wanted it to be built.
Right.
You know, he wanted it to be built in a way that, you know, this is not just for me, it's for all Israel, but it's an example. So, you know, it's a challenge, brother. It's a challenge.
Right.
You know, it's just, like I said, with the land, it's very emotional to me because it was my father's vision.
Right.
You know, that place, like, we looked at a bunch of land. We went all over Georgia looking at land.
Right.
And he was like, we saw this 6 acres. He was like, this is the one. And I'm like, Abba. And they got trees all on there. They got grass taller than you are. But, you know what I'm saying? Myself, my brothers, Moreh Ithamar, you know what I'm saying? It was a lot of brothers. Havdalah, it was just a lot of brothers. Aviyahu, just a lot of brothers that put their hands over time into just like clearing it. But we was, you know, we was kind of city boys then, right, as I put it there. You know, right, we didn't have the right tools. We coming out there with our lawnmowers. You know what I'm saying? We just clear enough area for us to put a tent out there, you know. So, right, but now, you know, the Most High is good. You know, we were blessed, you know, this year to put a building out there, and we have a 1,200 square foot building. That's our common building, and wow, you know, and wow, this is ours. You know what I'm saying? It's ours, and I pray the Most High keep on blessing our hand, because anything that He give me, I'm putting into that, because I know that's my blessings. Right. You know, when your father tell you, you know, hey, this is the direction I want you to go in, you can go in another direction. Right. But, you know, your blessings lie in the directions that He pointed you.
Hallelujah. That's right. The direction that He points you in. That's right. Because the parents set the way. And I think sometimes that's where we fall short. Like a lot of other people, like Indians, the you know, Chinese, like these people, they set a way for their children.
Right,
and the
absolutely.
children actually follow it, you
right,
know, and become successful.
Yes.
A lot of times with us as Israel or as black people in general, we don't follow the way that our parents have, you know, imagined for us or want us to follow in. And that's where a lot of the failures come, you know.
Brother, that was my failure. You know what I'm saying? Because I think about, you know, just the gifts the Most High gave me, you know, I threw it away. You know what I'm saying? Right. I threw away 10 years because, you know, I thought that I had time. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that was my guy. That's the big man. You know what I'm saying? And he had the vision. My Abba would talk like he had $1 million in the bank. You know, he'd be like, yeah, we're going to put the store over here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to take these trees down. And he'd be like, Abba.
He was putting it in y'all.
Right, absolutely. You know, because we had to add up for gas to get out here, you know, make sure that we good. Like, we didn't have the funds to make it happen, but he knew that, you know, over time we would make it happen. So, you know, we got some beautiful things in the work, brother, and just stay tuned. You know what I'm saying? Stay tuned. You know, I send that invitation to New York, and, you know, come on down, brother.
Hallelujah. Listen, so often, right, a lot of Israelites stop themselves short of achieving certain goals. They use the excuse of observing the Shabbat as something that sometimes holds them back in achieving success in the business world. How do you feel about that? You know, people are always the Shabbat, you know, I can't really make moves, do this, do that. You're in the South. Look, you're in the South where they don't really know about Shabbat like that.
But that's your lesson. That's where you teach them. Like, everybody that's worked for me, they know. Don't do nothing on no Saturday. If Judah find out you doing something on Saturday, it's going to be a problem. Right. So basically, I taught you how to do the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? I taught you at least how to take off and not do your work on the Shabbat. Right. So, and to say that you can't do it on the Shabbat, I don't care what it is. When you put your business out there, you're creating your own paradigm. You're creating your own whatever this is your creation. So to say I can't do it, or I can't do this business and honor the Shabbat, well, you're not really creating your business.
Right.
As far as the job goes, there's no job. Nobody should be able to tell you to violate the laws of the Most High. I don't care how it is. And that's how I felt on any. When I was flipping burgers, they wouldn't call me on the Shabbat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When there's no job that I had that they'll call me on the Shabbat and this is the South. Like they be like, well, so are you Jewish or are you like, what is it? Is it a black Jew? And, you know, I got a cousin like they, you know, they don't really understand. Like at least up north, they kind of got a better understanding of, you know,
right.
who y'all are and who we are, but they don't really have that out here.
Right.
They don't have that. So, but you create your own, you create there's no way, even if I started a restaurant, we're not open on the Shabbat. So listen, my hours are what I create my hours to be. There's
right.
no set hours. So when you say you have to do it, you're slave to money more than you are to the Most High God's law.
Right.
More than you willing to honor the Most High God's law, you slave to that money. Because the only thing you're thinking about is, oh, I can make more money if I open on these times. When you go to work, when you say, oh, I got to go on Saturday, oh, because they're giving double time on Saturday or time and a half on Saturday. And you should never honor nothing that a man create more than what the Most High God gave us. So I say that, you know, it's no different than, you know, whether you're working a job or whether you have a business. You're going to have to stand up and do it. You know, one time I had a contractor, an investor tell me, listen, I need you to have your phone on 7 days a week because, you know, I got a lot of work going on with you. I said, listen, I won't even do this. Don't call me on a Saturday. I don't even want, because it's offensive if you even call me on the Saturday when I told you not to call me on the Saturday.
Right. So you have to set your parameters. You have to draw the line on the sand, basically.
And listen, my workers probably be looking at me crazy now if I be like, oh, we got Saturdays to work. They'd be like, listen, ain't you? You know, I can't even come. They tell me when I don't have 4 fringes on now. They be like, listen, you're missing one of your things is missing off your shirt. You know, so you can't ride the fence. You can't waffle, even if it's in business.
Right.
And if it's in a business that requires you to be open on the Shabbat, that's not a business for an Israelite. Not here.
That's right. So in concluding and wrapping up, what is your opinion on today's social climate? What are your thoughts on George Floyd's situation? I know in Georgia there was a shooting of the man in the Wendy's. I believe it was Wendy's, right?
Right.
What is your opinion on all of that, and you know, where do you stand on all that stuff?
Well, I mean, first off, it's not anything new.
Right.
You know, what we're seeing now is the advent of people having cameras in their hand and able to film things. People having cameras on their houses, and almost every time you walk out the house, you're being filmed. Right. So now you're able to see what has been happening for, you know, decades.
Right.
You know, so it's sad because we had multiple incidents in Georgia. We had the brother at Wendy's, Ahmad Brooks, and then the brother in Brunswick, or, you know, I may be getting their names mixed up, but, you know, we've had several incidents in Georgia. I was actually in Brunswick the week after that happened for Israelite wedding. Wow. You know, and it's crazy because I went to the Walmart and I'm like, called my wife, I'm like, oh, this will feel a little different out here. Like, you know, it's that energy was there. Right. But you have to understand, the Most High never wanted us to be amongst these people.
That's right.
The Most High never, the idea that we can't create for ourselves is what holds us back from where we need to be. You know, and I know we don't have enough, if you dedicate yourself to it, the Most High will make a way. He has made a way, you know, and all these people that's like, oh, how we gonna have a school? Now everybody gotta have virtual class with their kids.
That's right.
So you telling me that we couldn't have a virtual class, you know, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
I'm teaching a virtual class a few days a week with my kids. So, you know, I know if I can do it, you know, not that I'm a dummy or nothing, but you know, as far as the computers and all that stuff, if I can figure that out, why don't we have? We don't have because we're so used to being taken care of. We're people that are used to being taken care of.
Right.
And we've been taken care of so long that our job means everything. You know, some people sacrifice their family for their job.
Right.
You know, what they give us, oh, well, I can't move out of here. How am I going to work? How am I going to do this? I'll leave it like this. The Most High gave us the earth. The earth produces everything that we need to have. Right. That we need to have. Now, understand what I'm saying. Right. Not what you want. I can't say the earth is going to give you an Xbox One or, you know what I'm saying, the things that you like to have.
Right, right.
But it will feed you, it will clothe you, it will protect you from the elements. What we have to do, especially as men, and I'll say this to all the men that listen to this, we have to be not afraid to lace up our boots and go to work. It's not about the flashy stuff. It's not about, you know, showing who got what and who got. We can't be afraid to work. Right. Because if it get too bad, remember how this thing started with the COVID-19, and people was like, well, I had people calling me, brother, can I come and stay out there? I got my tent ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm dead serious, brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, brother, I pray, you know, you my brother, so I'm not going to turn you away. But I pray don't get to that, you know, before the day of the Most High God comes, we need to prepare ourselves.
That's right.
We need to prepare. And we see with the foolishness, the administration we got in office, the administration that they trying to bring in office. Right. None of that serves us as the children of the Most High God. None of that. So, you know, when we get mad at that, we have to get mad enough that we're going to do something about it. It's not just getting good enough to be mad about something and march and burn stuff down until they kill the next black person. Right. You know, right around the corner from me the other day, they got a video online where they grabbed the sister up and tased her and threw in the bushes and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
You know, and then you'll see it because it'll come out in the next few days. This is right around the corner from my house. You know what I'm saying? And I thought I lived in the... Yeah. I thought I lived in a nice neighborhood, but they was, you know, apparently they don't like our kind. Right. My whole point is to expect the people that enslaved you, that mistreated you, misguided you, and all of everything in between for over 400 years to give you any type of empowerment is foolishness. Mm. It's foolishness. They're figuring out a way now to keep us slave to the system because somebody has to work at Walmart. That's right. Somebody has to, you know what I'm saying, keep that money coming in. And that's what they look at us like, we're a cash cow. We're spending our money on, you get you know, it's funny, you know, now a lot of people getting these unemployments and stimulus and all this stuff. You know, we running right back and buying Louis Vuitton. And I'm not saying don't get it, but we running and spending our money with Gucci and Louis Vuitton and just to say that we have something. Right. And we have to be a people that create something, because if we create it and we create it with the Most High in mind, it will be, I mean, the Most High God will make it flourish. It won't be something that's failed, but, you know, we just got to change our understanding of what the Most High God has and expects from us. You know, I go back to the scriptures. He said, gather yourself, O nation undesired. Right. We gather us. You know what I'm saying? Not in that day, but before that day.
Before that day, right. Come together.
Before that day. So I'm saying, you know, I don't never be like, you need to follow my movement. You know, brother said that to me recently, and I'll end on this. He said, you know, something about followers. None of these people are our people. They're the people of the Most High God. Right. So I don't never need nobody to follow me. I need brothers to stand with me, and brothers that have that same mindset that they're going to build. I don't say it's just me, myself. Right. But there's brothers that's out there that's doing things that are going to free us up as a people. Right. The Most High God gives us everything that we need from the earth. Blessed be his name, brother.
Hallelujah. Blessed be. My brother, Moreh Ithamar. Hey, can you quickly just give people the name of your business if you want to leave info for them to contact you if they need anything in the Atlanta metro area, right?
Right, the metro Atlanta area.
Right.
And this is the blessing in how business works, because a few years ago I couldn't find, I have to drum it up, and now we on backlog. So, I'm trying to get back at people about work. But you can find us, we have a page on Facebook, it's Yehudah Property Services. You can also hashtag us on Facebook and see some of our work, Yehudah Property Services. Right. You can also reach me at YehudahPropertyServices@yahoo.com.
Okay.
And also those of you that may know my Facebook page, you can also send me an inbox. And now I'm gonna tell you, I'm not very good at the inbox and getting back. Now people be like, I sent you something like a month ago.
Yeah,
so
I know how that is.
I mean, come on. I mean, I get people be trying to get me to play karate games and all type of games on there, like this, share this. So, that may not be the best way to get in touch with me, but my business page, I do answer all the emails that go to that, and my personal email as well. So if you need it, and I'm the type of brother, I shoot straight. If I can't even do it, I'll just point you in the direction where you can get good, solid work, right. Because that's the key.
Okay. My brother, it's a pleasure once again.
Always, brother. Always, brother.
May the Most High God continue to be with you and your family and bless you.
Same to you. Same to you. I seen that precious little daughter of yours dancing. I got one that same age dancing around here. She's like, look at the baby dancing. Okay. Blessed be, brother. May the Most High be with your family. All glory to him. And we'll talk about the Knicks later on in the next interview.
We'll talk about the Hawks later on.
In the next interview. All right, peace and blessings, my good brother.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.